So what we'll do is that we'll take another group that their laptop is compatible with. What do you or can you drop it on the platform? Can you drop it? Well, analysts, let's start thinking like analysts.
A Python like that.
Yes, any system. Yes, she was able to project that system, so it's easier to.
I know it. Snake is very cunning. Python like that. Very cunning. So it's very smart.
Yes.
Yes.
So all here now have to be thinking like smart Pythons.
Yes.
Are not cute. Your own does this.
I'm not sure it's Windows system. I'm not sure if it's Windows system, so the cast might not work.
No, you can use cast. This system, once they on
You can cast work on ordinary screen. I'm not sure this system is a Windows system.
maybe this one.
Okay, I'm just. Okay,
To sources. I thought it's shared. Sources. Yeah.
Thank you, programmers. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, the next one is to join the combined table. That's, let me show us what we have here. So we have done step 3. So step 4 says join the combined table to the lookup LGA on the left and bring in the state and region for each record. So here is it. So this is it. This was the code we used, all har equals lookup, meaning that everything that will be given as a answer should store as all har underscore lookup. So the code was pd.merge all har, that's our combined data, then the lookup. So what we are saying is that keep everything we have in our main data set after we have concatenated. Then do left, meaning bring everything we have on the left side of the LGA and show it to us. Here, this is the result. This is the result that we have. So we have everything now, the youth unemployment rate, we have the sample size, we have the state, which was not formally in our previous data set, but it was in the LGA lookup, then we have the region. So the next assignment says summarize each LGA with two different calculations. So here what we are trying to do is we want to know the mean of the youth average rate. So what we did first was to group by LGA, since that is the column we're interested in. So group by LGA, youth unemployment, then the mean. So this was the answer we got for that. So for each LGA, we have the youth unemployment rate mean. This is the answer. Then the second one says the sample size, the sum of the sample size. So we also did group by LGA, then we brought out the sample size, then we told Python to give us the sum. So here is the answer for that. So this place says, it says we should start the next assignment. It says summarize each LGA with two different calculations. Then we have to use the aggregate function for the mean and the sum together. So the code we used was summarize underscore data. So the summarized data, now let's remember we're no longer using one hard lookup. Why? Because we have already said we should summarize, we have already said we should, we've already done the mean and the sum here. So we are saying for everything that we got here, store the data as summarized data. So by using the aggregate function, so we did youth unemployment mean, we did that. Then we ran for also the sample size as the sum, which we did earlier. Then we says the instruction says keep the first state and region. So and that's the code: state equals state first, region equals region first. Then after running
Is that
it,
so?
we
It doesn't look like
so this was the result we get. Even from this output, we can see our answer because the answer says we need to know those LGA that has high youth unemployment mean with small sample size. The assignment given is that we should be able to flag them. And from this, if we check number 7, we'll see Gwale has high youth unemployment mean, but the sample size is 313. So we can even see from here that the sample size is a small sample size, which makes it unreliable. So then it continues like that. Then the next one says create a new flag column that marks LGA yes when both conditions are true, meaning that we are to look for now after, but we cannot continue to look at this data manually. So the next assignment is to get a code where you can be able to get those LGAs that are flagged. So the code for it is the task given is that when both conditions are true, meaning that when it has high unemployment mean and if the sample size is small, so we have to get it. Average when it is more than 45, when it is above 45%, and the total sample size is below 600, then should return everything else as no. So the code is summarize data flag column where summarize data youth unemployment rate mean is greater than 45, and where summarize data sample size sum is less than 600. So that was the code, and here is the result. So from the flag column, we can see that for Abuja Municipal is no, until we go to that number 7, which is Gwale, that's yes, meaning that's the flagged one. Then we'll continue like that to, we can see Kuje to 49.7 then the sample size is 309. So that is it for that. Then the next assignment says show all LGUs with their average rate, total sample, and flat sort. So what this piece is basically saying is that we should sort everything out so that it can bring the flat LGAs out. So the code we used was sorted on summarized data equals summarized data to sort values. Then the flat scope, sorry, the flat column which we're interested in, the youth unemployment rate, and we said, okay, ascending order first. So we printed out the summarized data, and here is here's our results. We brought out okay, I'm trying to see the flat data first. So, that's number 8. I'm trying. Okay. So after getting the flag data, which is Uje and Kwali, then by says in 3 or 4 sentences to the statistician general, make the flag data LGAs, which we have done, and explain in plain words why a small sample can make the rates untrustworthy, and I would recommend a sample size for future surveys. So here it is. So in respect to the previous survey carried out, it was discovered that some data were unreliable due to the sample size, which we have shown. The flag LGAs are Kwali and Kuje due to the small sample size. Then the small sample size is not reliable. Sorry, I'm going to write reliable, not true something. So the small sample size is not reliable because it makes us arrive at a wrong conclusion. So a few anomalies might make it look like a major. So what this is saying is that probably in that LGA, just few people that doesn't have unemployment, that the unemployment rate is high. So when you use those small sample size, it is not actually a good representation of the whole LGA. It's just few. So a few anomalies may make it look like a major trend, whereas it is false, making it a false conclusion. So from the data, we haven't checked this, and we could see that many of them that has a small sample size are just between 1,000. I mean, are just below 1,000 rather, or 2,000. So we were able to say that, okay, from the subsequent survey, the minimum sample size should be from maybe 2,000 onward. So that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's good for, yeah. Okay, so comments. Comments from the presentation made. Abigail, you're just coming and your head is just on your laptop. She's greeting me. Let us look at those that are making presentations. So if we need to ask questions, we're analysts. It's not just looking at this data and running the Python analysis on it, but you should be able to also speak on it as well. That's why it's called analysis, Python analysis. So for me, I'm going to ask a very stupid question.
No question is expected.
Yes, I'm going to ask a very stupid question. I just have to put it stupid because I want to trigger something. When my colleague shared this slide on the concatenating table, I saw something that anybody could also ask, same triggering question. 170 unemployment, 170 LGA, 170 sample size. Now, supposing you share this document with me and I'm supposed to do further work on it, and I don't understand what it meant. How can you explain the 170 all true from what you have concatenated?
Okay, so thank you. So 170 is just the total number of the two data sets. Now the first one, R1 that has its own number. maybe 1 to 70 or 100. The second one also has its own number. The reason why you're getting this is because I use one_count. I told you to count. That's why the 170 is showing. But so basically, the 170 is the total of how one appears the first data set and the second data set matched together.
So you can see my stupid question is making sense, yeah? So yes, I purposely have to ask that question because I know it. So you see, while we're looking at some of all these things, as I said, most times I don't like giving my microphone or allowing those that knows this to present because they already have an idea. Some of us that are doing the basics now don't have an idea, but we also need to steal this idea as well. So that by the time you sit at your comfort zone and you're running something and then you get to this point and it's looking like they're all similar, it shouldn't scare you. You should just know that, oh, it's just doing the count of the column that you're analyzing. And that's why you have to make it very explicit. The R1 and the R2 put together because he has concatenated. And that's why it's giving him that count rule. And that's what's bringing us up to 170. Another question, again, that I want to pose, though we're not going into analysis proper. You understand? And again, this will be most beneficial to some of you that are coming from other MGAs. It's a question around where you have to propose for the session general, the sample size that is most suitable, right? So in that proposition that you made, you said you think it should be 2,000. So again, remember you're using an analysis tool. You should be scientific, right? Because you have run other sample size and see that, okay, this sample size that they used was robust, that's why they were able to get to this point. Is it possible that I also run something with those other two LGAs so that when I'm proposing, I know that I'm being scientific? Because a question can be thrown to you as an analyst. How did you get to 2,000? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I just think these are the two things I just wanted to bring out for the presentation. But above all, they did well. Please round of applause. So if there are no further questions from anyone, I don't know if our resource person wants to pose any question or we can go ahead with other presentation.
No, we can go ahead. The final result.
Thank you very much. So we'll make a general comment. So group 5, okay, blessing is now. I will not still allow you to stand up in that. I see Abigail is now complete with her team. So please, let's have your presentation. Abigail. And once blessing around, take your presentation. So it doesn't look like. Don't mind it. Yeah. Where is group 1? Okay, group 1. You also, are you complete? Okay. Okay, that's
Good morning, everyone. Good
morning, my love.
So, my name is Abigail. I'm a data analyst. And today we are looking at a project for education. So our basic objective is we want the school gave us called us to do their job, to see their enrollment efficiency. So we are given the data and they also gave us the objective of their data. What they really wanted us to find out for them as a data analysts. So our objective is the goal of this project was to analyze education enrollment data across different educational zones and identify the patterns in school enrollment, efficiency, and the resource distribution. So, in my own, I'm going to, I had to do a little breakdown so we could just take it step by step to understand the steps we did. So our data was given. First of all, we needed to understand what our clients needed. So we went through the whole data. Was it already clean? Is there anything missing so we could ask our clients? But fortunately for us, the data came very clean. So we just went through the file that was given to us, understand how the data is going to flow, our client is expecting. So after understanding everything, we started our process to analyze the data. And with what we were taught, first of all, we were able to downloaded our data first. So in this case, because of our previous observation, we noticed that whenever we bring our data directly, like import it again from the normal step we're taught, when the network is not really flowing, it still asks you to go back to download. So instead, we use the new method Mr. Michael taught us. So before then, we imported pandas, we imported NotFees, we imported our OS. The OS is not really as important. It doesn't make any difference even if you do not put it. But we just decided to put it for practical sake. So we use Google from Google.colab import file, like I said, because I didn't want to every time go back and download it. So I just brought it from my computer, my laptop. So we downloaded it, we did upload, it was to file, we just upload. So when you do this, let's say I want to run it. If you see here, you will see where it's saying choose file. Once you do this upload, you run it, it will tell you choose file. So from that choose file, you can now go to where you store your documents in your system. When you click on it, you put them all up, you click on it, you now reload it. All these documents, like this is what we are working on, it just comes out. So directly now you can now work on your data without struggling whether the network will come and make it disappear. So our first step, our workflow, the first step we did was to load and inspect our file. So which we renamed it as Edu underscore quarter one. So we had quarter one, quarter two, quarter three. So we all loaded it. We also inspected. So we did something else apart from just going to just look at our. First of all, I brought the data to Excel to examine how the data looks like. So because I noticed that when you come to your when you come to Python, when you load the file, sometimes it doesn't show you if there's a space behind, if there's a space for you to trim. I just noticed that for me. So I brought them to Excel. So when I brought them to Excel, I noticed if you see the space, there's space in the front of it where you needed to trim. So when I noticed that, I went back to our tax form. So before then, we concatenate the whole three data together so that we can have it as one data. So, like I said, first we combine the 3 quarters data set into complete data set using concatenation. So concatenation helps us to bring, no matter how much the data is, we can bring them together to become one file. So this is what we did first. And with that, we were able to understand our data. So if you watch here, you see that it started from 0 to 268. So this shows us that the data is very large. So the Python platform just help it to just like how you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, then you do dot dot to the end. So it just help us to just minimize things it didn't show us all. So the next step we did was our workflow 2. The step was that it was to stacking the data. And stacking the data is we had about three quarters and then the zone. The zone came on its own. So we needed to merge, after combining the 3, we needed to bring in our zone into it. So that's where we talk about stacking the data, the 3 data sets with our zones. So we started with it, renaming it to Edu Data Zone. Then we use pd.merge. This is where we now merge it. Using my main data to merge with the zone so that I can get a workflow file to work on. So we merge it. So if you notice, our zone has some other data that binds with our main data. The zones contain quarter, states, and urban too. So when we now merge it, it was now giving us state as X. We now had another state as Y because the zone on its own also contains states. So we now saw that with this, it doesn't really flow well. So, but we needed one state. Do you understand? So we needed one state. We needed to use just one state since all of them is just the same thing. So after merging it, we now decided to pick one state, one rural and urban, because it was showing rural and urban X and rural and urban Y, because when merging it appeared 2 times. So we now bring in our code, which we use .dataset.zone. Then we dropped the other one. We dropped the state Y, we dropped the urban Y because it was appearing 2 and we just needed one. So we dropped them. And so you can see now, in this state here, we have state X and state Y. But then after dropping Y, we now only have state X. And we also have urban rural X. So now our data is now exactly the way we want to work with it. We have our educational zone, we have our state, we have our urban and rural area, we have our enrollment, the quarter, and the primary school. So this is the data we really want to work on. And then we had to say, okay, after doing this, we needed to now check our data shape. So this is where I introduced this print.dataset.zone2.shape. So I used just to check the shape of my data. This is just to tell you how many rows and how many columns. So if you can see here, we have 269 rows and 6 columns. So the print is just to show you how the shape of the data looks like. So the next thing we now do, since we've already concatenated and merged our data, the next thing we started was to do what? Do data cleaning. Remember I told you that before starting it, I already checked our data, how it looked like in Excel. But before then, I would love to do something for us. So somebody will say, oh, but this data was not in Excel, so how did you check it? So it's just a little tip I did. So I'm just going to share with us. Remember our file is in CSV. So I decided to check it. So I came to Excel, open your Excel file, you go to data. When you go to data, you see where they say get data. You just click on it. When you click on it, it will show you from file, from database, any source you kept the data. But my own is from file because it's in my laptop, in my system. And it's now asking you, in which format is this data from? Since our own is in CSV, I came here, I click CSV. So it takes me to the place where our data set is. So I click on it and do imports. So I did imports. So yeah, I'm not trying to transform the data. I just want to see how my data look like. So I do load. So you can see now, it has loaded my data into Excel and I'm now seeing it in an Excel format. If you open that CSV in a normal notepad, you will get confused with how the data look like. But Excel helps you to see how it's presented in a proper way. So this is how I did it. So we were able to look at it and see how the data look like. You're going to pay me for that.
Trying.
Yes.
Okay. So-
5 million. 3 is trying 5 million.
So now we now started our data cleaning. So based on what we saw in our Excel, we saw that we needed to trim. There were spaces, especially in the states and let's look at it. So especially in the states and also in the urban area. So you can see that some started from the end, while some were like in the middle where they started. So we needed to trim it for all of them to be in the proper shape. So we introduced data cleaning. So we brought down our data, the way I named our data, and we introduced string str.stream. So since I just want to stream just my states and urban area. Why I introduced this educational zone, so in case maybe there are other ones I did not really see, so I just introduced it. I just decided to clean it generally. So I introduced it. So I did stream and brought all the old data I wanted to clean. So I did that, and our data came out well. So the next thing we needed to do is we are now checking if there is any missing values. So I introduced edu.dataset.zone is new.sum because I wanted to see the sum of all the data if there is any missing value. So if you can see now, I'm having 0 in educational zone, state I have 0, urban I have 0, enrollment I have 0, quarter zeros, statewide because I used the first data, I had 0. So all this now we see that we do not have any missing values. So the next step we needed to check is, so our clients needed to know the enrollment per zonal level. So we decided to calculate the enrollment per zonal level. So we introduced the education. Since we are looking per zonal level, we are now looking at in the zones, the enrollment, what are the enrollments per zones? So if you see now, we did our educational zone enrollment, then we sum it, then we set index so that it will give us accordingly, and then we looked at our results. So in our results now you can see, in each zones, like in zone A, we have 5,255. So in zone B, zone C, zone D, it gave us in each zone what is the total. It's telling us the total number of enrollment in that particular zone. So we got our results there. The next thing we needed to do is we wanted to see the total schools for each zones, total numbers of schools for each zones. So we merged this particular data, which the enrollment data, because we want to see it per zone. If you watch from our first data, we had a total number of 268 because it was just by quarter, each zones. But in this one now, we are not looking at per quarter, we're just concentrating to look at in each particular zone, how many, what is the total number of enrollment in each particular zone. So when we came here, we also wanted to know, in saying that each zone, how many numbers of schools, primary schools are there in that particular, and the total number of the enrollment in that particular zone. And we also want to know the state and also which of the region. Is it urban? Are they really in urban or rural area? So this is where this comes on. So we did the total sum of this particular one, our enrollment which we got, if you can see it per zones, on educational zones, and how is left. We use left, like we were taught. The left join, we introduced the left join because we wanted to join the other data with the results we'll be getting. So when we did that, this was the results we get. We got our zones, the enrollment, the state, the rural area, which is our region, and the primary school. So if you can see in zone A, it has about 57,255 enrollment, and the numbers of primary school is about 55. And this is an urban region. And we also looked at in zone B, it's still also in Lagos State, we had about 23,843 and has about 130 schools, but it's a rural area. You can see there are some discrepancy in it. You can see that even with this, you can even tell the results of how your data is, the findings of your data. So we went for that to also say, okay, since we've gotten the numbers of schools and their enrollment, we want to know the total number per zones in a year. But then in our data set, we didn't say per year. It was per quarter. Our clients didn't give us the year. They only gave us each quarter. So we needed to see it. But so we had to come down here to do a little, okay, sorry. So this was just what we needed to find in step 5. But we wanted to break it down, so we ourselves that is working on it, you understand. So we brought out our total enrollment first of all, and decided to just pick. If you watch in this one, we just did the sum. We wanted to bring out the total enrollment for zones, and we also wanted to bring out the total enrollment per primary school. So we brought that first of all. We brought them. We also checked if there is any duplicates, we could drop them. So if you watch it, you see my code changed here. So I don't drop any duplicates if there is any duplicates. But with what we saw going forward, our data didn't have duplicate, but we just wanted to introduce it. So it should drop every duplicate. And then we were able to pick what we needed here. And then, like I said, we were looking at, we want to see the enrollment of the pupils. So we brought out our 4 data we are trying to look at. The primary school, the total enrollment, and then in this one, we wanted to see in an average, what is the enrollment per average in a school? So we introduced this. So if you see, so this is my code where we use this. Still almost the same set of codes because our work is just going through. So we're just bringing and just changing some little things. So in this one now, we wanted to see the enrollment per school, the normal enrollment, and the one for the primary school. So for per school now, this is our enrollment per school, the average of it, which we now have. In each schools, this is the average of the enrollment, 1,441.00. That was what they have per school in an average. So in all zones, it was just showing, we just needed to see each for all zones. Then we went further to do a comparison. We wanted to know, in the urban area and the rural area, what are the difference? What are their enrollment difference? Is there any comparison between each of them? Or is there any lapses? We just wanted to know because that was what the client needed to focus on. They wanted to see how they could improve the school activities and see if there are lapses in each schools and their zones. So yes, in step 7, we needed to do comparison. So now, in this one now, I just named this region per zone. We brought out our zone and our urban area and rural area. So we could see that our data here is showing that there are places that the urban area has the highest enrollment, and there are places the rural area are quite a little bit going down. We want to know what is really the causes and what can the clients do? What do they need to do to improve this? Is it that there is no teachers in the rural area, or is it that the urban area are teaching more than the rural area, or is it that there is no teacher? What is the infrastructures? Is it because of lack of infrastructures in the school? So they want to really know what's really what is really lacking, that we are having lesser in the rural and urban. So if you watch our data, you can see most of the urbans here, they have higher enrollment meters. But then, like we said, we wanted to see the comparison. And then we want to see, okay, in this one, we just looked at also the average, the mean. As a statistician, we also know mean as also average. So we looked at the mean, which you see here in our data set, we introduced mean here, and then we looked at the mean, the comparison. Then in our findings, we had a lot of findings. So in this case now, based on what we saw in our data, we find out that the average enrollment, educational zones, and I introduced this code because I wanted to see in this data set who has the highest educational the enrollment, which is the urban area, is the rural area. So I introduced this particular code as the highest state average enrollment. I grouped them, yes, just to get it. So I could share it later. Then it did print. So in this one now, it's not giving us like the data, it's just like it's giving like a summary of the whole of this particular data. So there you see zone G in the urban area has the highest average enrollment with 2,467. So let's check it. This is zone G. It has the highest. So let's go. We also want to see the lowest in this. So we also same data, but we just did a little from the highest. We just wanted to see the lowest. So in this one, you see, I used max, but in this one, I'm using minimum. So in our step 8, we wanted to see the lowest zone. So if you find out from our data set, you find out that in this last case, you see, it helps us summarize it to say zone K in the rural area has the lowest average enrollment with a total number of 749. So let's go to our data and confirm whether it's true or not. So let's look at zone K. So in summary, you see, it was approximated to 749. So it has the lowest enrollment data set. So that's my work. So in summary, we were, like I said, we're looking at educational enrollment analysis. Yes. So the problem our client gave us is they want us to compare the school enrollment across the educational zones and between the urban area and the rural area, because they believe that the urban zones pack more people into each school. So our team duty is to work out the enrollment per school for each zones, and we also tested whether the urban area really is more efficient, and we also had a recommendation for our clients. So in summary, we had about 10, in the whole of our data, we had 10 educational zones, and the zone A has the highest total enrollment with 57,225 students, and zone K has the lowest with about 17,221 students. And based on our findings, the urban zone, which is zone G, has the highest enrollment per school with the total number of 2,467. And we suggested that with these results we got, we suggested to our client that there is overcrowding and a very high pressure on the school because the pupils are much. So how will the teachers be able to educate the students? They are much. So we were telling our client that with the total number we got in zone G, the pupils in that particular zone are much. So there is need for them to still build some little schools to be able to spread the students. And then in zone K, we also noticed that the zone K has the lowest, which we suggested to our client that there is an underutilized schools or low population density. This might be the result of they are not really using some schools. If you go to the urban area, you will find out that there are some schools that are not using, just build the structures and it's just there. And we also notice that the populations are good. There are students in the village that don't like going to school. It might be due to some reasons. It might be transportation, maybe the distance of the school is far from where they are staying. So this might be why they don't even want to go to school. Some it might be the school fees, how much they are paying. Oh, is it very expensive for the parent? The parent might just say they don't need, I cannot afford it. So we just suggested that these are the reasons that we are finding this, we are having this comparison. And then we also said in zone efficiency, it's what we find out that the urban zones are generally more efficiency because efficient because they have more students per school than the rural zone. Likely because of maybe the population density is high and they have better access to school. Maybe it's close to their environment, and in the urban area, the population are much in the urban area, and everybody wants their child to go to school because nobody wants their child to be uneducated. But in the rural area, people don't really see schools as something that is more important, yes. So in summary, in zone K, it is the least efficient. Zone K is the least efficient school enrollment with a lower school enrollment, pointing to a possible underused schools, like I said earlier. So in our final recommendation, we recommended to the clients that they should expand their infrastructure, create more classes, build more facilities for students, and in high pressure especially for the urban area, because there's so much, the children are so much, so they needed to learn in a very good environment. The crowd will be too much. Even in the university, we can see if there's so much crowd, you that is in the back, you even barely hear what the teacher is saying. Talk less of secondary and primary school. So we recommended for the clients they should see into expanding classes, creating more facility, especially for the urban area, since they have so much population in it. And zone G to reduce like I said, overcrowding, and also send more teachers. We also recommended that in those urban area where they have more students, they should send more teachers, create more classroom learning materials for them. And then also now we notice that in the rural area has the lowest, so they should support those zones that have the lowest enrollment that have the lowest enrollment. It might be campaign for people to understand that education is important, for the parents to understand that education is important for their children, and community awareness. We have classes. Oh, is it transportation? We have buses that can take your children to school. These are things we're asking and we recommended for our clients to look at. And in summary, the strong statistical line here is that zones that is very high enrollment per school may indicate overstretched educational infrastructure, while extreme low values may indicate underutilization of resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was team 3, group 3. Yeah. So job well done. Comments from the room. Those who want to make comments should raise their hands. I'll take numbers. And then ensure 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, fantastic.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Very interesting. Please, I will need you to explain to me again, because I could see that the data that was given to you is for 3 quarters, and the other time you were talking about total enrollment for the year. How did you do that?
You have 2 questions. Let's just take all the questions, actually. Because we need to bring all that.
You need to jot it down.
The second one, there is a particular table that showed that you talked about enrollment by zone and the highest enrollment. So the one that was picked was it K, which is 2467. I noticed that there are 2 that are 2467. The only difference is the decimal point. I don't know exactly, because one was D was 2467.0, then K was 247.3. 247.
Okay. So let me just search.
Yes.
So yes, we talked about, I know I did one because I was trying to experiment something, so I omitted something here. Okay. So I'm trying to know where you were asking the question. Yes. Yeah. So in this case here, so we were asked to see per year, but we didn't have a data per year. Though I omitted something, we did it per quarter. Or I was trying to do something, so I forgot to bring it back. But in this space, yeah, this is how I just needed to just check it. Since we were not giving per year, so we decided to go for quarter because a quarter can tell you how many, like, a quarter is like 4 months in a year, 3 months, right? So three months can tell you for a particular set of year. This is what happened for this particular set, but the data that came were not given here. So you can only check since they were given per quarter, you can check it per quarter. Yes. Which what I need. Sorry.
Okay, so just no problem. We're working the time.
Incoming mail.
So, for the data, you were given Q1, Q2, Q3. So the assumption is if you concatenate Q1, Q2, Q3, that's an entire year's data. Does it make sense?
I was coming to that.
My own is less. The last one, I really appreciate your presentation. It shows how vast you were on this. Before one can be talking confidently like this, you must appreciate the coding. So let's go to the last one, the interpretation. That is where I have one question I would like you to talk about. Before we can talk about overcrowding and undercrowding and what have you, I don't know whether we know the standard number of students that should be in a class. I think that should be give us when we begin to see what is over or under, and in our analysis, so that we won't give analysis that will not actually bring immediate results that we are looking at. If, for example, the question says suggest why and recommend where you best should build classrooms and consolidate small schools. If you think high efficiencies might actually mean over. So what is if I put it that way, do you have an average number of students that should be in the class? I'm talking about some immediate measures. We talked about campaign, but I didn't see something like policy, because if you use campaign, it's like you are not making it mandatory. So education in rural setting, because we are trying to lift them up. So something like policy should also be education policy where it's mandatory for every child in primary school to attend a primary school. So can you throw more light to that minimum standard that can qualify a school to be over or undercrowded?
So, sir, I do not think I would allow her to delve into that. Yes. She's not an education expert. She's just here to analyze data. So if she needs to understand what happens around education, she will come to my office and we'll have a conversation. Let me give to the next person.
Mr. Rowe.
We'll finish how we
Which one is everyone? Let me use the opportunity to apologize for coming in late. It's never in my character. It was difficult to get some transportation on the road. That was what caused my late coming. I'm so sorry for that. I must commend the presenter. Not just this one, presenter, even starting from yesterday, when they were making the presentation, and then because initially when we started this program, it was as if it's something so difficult that we cannot, but right from yesterday, I saw people making presentations.
I am the face
And yes, like today's, this Abigail's presentation can go for a recap from the one to yesterday, because she touched on everything and I explained. I'm really very impressed. What I wanted to say is concerning what Mr. Abadiaka mentioned, that in your trying to tell us whether the school was overstretched or was underutilized, which it is good for us to know the student-teacher ratio. What is the United Nations standard student-teacher ratio? When you use that, you cannot say confidently that this school is overstretched or is underutilized. So that is what we should know as analysts and statisticians that we are. It's an assignment for all of us. We need to know student-teacher ratio according to United Nations standard. So that will now conclude confidently on what their findings. And then I think what I wanted to say again is so you took time to take us through. Assuming we were given time, do your presentation in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know if you would have been able to meet up. We are not time conscious, but that's not part of the rule here. So you are spared for that. But where you are given time, I've tried to be time conscious. And also in our recommendations, let us speak data from the findings. Speak to the data from your findings. Though you went outside the box, which is very good. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I think there was one more person. Okay.
Mike, what kind of questions?
Don't ask questions.
I think they're already working. They are working in they are your big. See me to ask questions.
Can we have focus? So actually, I actually enjoyed the presentation, and what I actually wanted to add is from the report, like from the interpretation. So it's still along. So one of them is along the overcrowding, because when I actually add that, because the school with the lowest number of children can actually be more overcrowded compared to the school with the highest number of children. It depends on the infrastructure and the number of so that's one. Then two, just like Mama has said, so when we are writing the report, I think it's good that we stick to the what we can get from the results. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we don't
want to overflow her.
And then you shall try as I know you want to answer.
And Tim did a very good work. But I have a general comment, and that general comment is for her, so that when she's making progress, she will stick to group teamwork. When you're working with your team, you don't say
Okay.
I. So you're now letting everyone know that your team.
So you got anything?
I'm not questioning correctly. Say my team is a team resolution. For what Mr. Tabiok said, this is just an analysis, and your team is just there to brainstorm. Whatever you know you cannot come up, he said we could not, based on this is just a general data.
Or what is available for us.
Yes, exactly. So that works. But above all, their team did a fantastic work. You want to ask questions? I know your team is we have a rule here. As I said, those who want to speak should raise their hands after thought.
What the difference about your analysis? You showed us how you work on Excel to analyze your data, not just to see how the data looks like. So is there a way of us seeing how the data looks like on Panda instead of using Excel, because you're using a data package into the we're not on Excel, we are on
Python.
So instead of you, rather than using Excel, is there a way of us seeing how the data looks like?
In Python. Yeah.
So, excuse me, I have the class, can I speak?
Yes.
And I think you're a student, go and sit down. So that question is not for her, it's for the resource person. So I think overall, that's why I said I want to, because we are time conscious, we want to ensure that everything make their presentation. By 1 or 2, we should be out of this list.
Yeah.
So the resource person will just give a general comment, he's documenting. So if there's also a way out, because he's the one taking us on this, she's also a student. If she's improvising something new, that's how conclusion. So Gaddafi, you now have the floor. So please, let's be time conscious. Let's discuss a woman. Let's stick to what the question that have been given to us. We are giving. Hold on. We'll give Gaddafi 10 minutes. No, Gaddafi is a teacher, so you want to take his time, please. 10 minutes is the time. Follow the question pattern that I've been giving.
Once the time reach,
Correct.
Mr. Oche have to guide now, say something about their presentation.
Don't say anything about Panda. Don't say anything about.
I'm telling you. Hold on, I have to react now. So use your time very well.
So this is just for the last question. So you already know that you can apply the strict text to columns, right? Now, what I just wanted to let you know is, that was me just starting from the elementary level. You can decide to apply it to the entire sheet. So for instance, if I was doing the same thing, rather than doing the strict text individually, as I'm concatenating, I would have just applied the strict text at once. And in the entire sheet, in short, in 3 sheets in general, if there are any spaces before and after, I need to just take them out so that I don't have to manually go through that process. Yes, but we wanted to start from the elementary phase, master how to do it from the elementary phase, the manual phase. Then you can apply it to your entire sheet.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Gaddafi Hassan. Yes, okay. Please, like you said, allow me.
Your time is going.
Don't worry. See the time that we are conscious of, or we want to understand things. That's 2 different. It's not about rush, it's about taking it step by step. Let's carry everyone together. Okay? First of all, I want to appreciate my wonderful team. Me and Roland, we have a wonderful harvest, 2 million months. So it's a team effort.
Yes.
Our own is not it's we. Okay? So everything is a team. Okay? So first of all, we have this task given to us. This is our scenario. Please, please, if you can see, you are my show. I don't know what to.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. We are tasked with this scenario. We are to analyze at the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC. The NEPC wants to find the states that punch above their weight on non-oil exports and the top performance per person, and understand which export categories drive them. And the minister will use this to decide where to send trade mission. You can see the mission that we have. We are dealing with ministers, so we have to be very, very conscious when we are analyzing our data. And our mission is to calculate each state's total non-oil export value divided by population to get export value per capita around the states. For the top state, break its export down by category and quarter, then recommend which category to promote. So, and okay. And you can see here, filter the data. Okay, here, write in 1 or 2 sentences. 1 or 2 sentences. Name the category that the NEPC should promote, strongest or most consistent, or a high potential on one word developing. If you think per capita on plenty planters small state, not what total export to see instance. Okay? So here where I do my introduction and my recommendation. Let me just take introduction. So we are, as you can see, I put we, not I. We are to analyze trade data from the Nigerian Export Promotion Council (NEPC) to identify which states are non-oil export champions on a per capita. That's per person basis. Okay. So I will just take us down to the step-by-step on the 8 blocks codes that I run to reach to that level. And this is what we did. You can see it. Sorry. Okay, here. So we know the general logic is to first report our data, which you can see here, right? We have the quarterly data, which is quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and other population data together here. So after we upload the data, we bring it here as normal. You know what Panda, NumPy, and OS does. As usual, we started with the same process. Let me run it so that you can see. Okay, here we go. Okay, so then here we bring we load our data, which is the general code for that. You give the data whatever name you want and use this. It will read the data, it will read this data, and you can see I even bring the population data here. So from here, you can either preview the shapes, column, rows, or whatever, or the general data. You just give a command like what your question when our presenter just asked. You can preview the data whichever way you want, by column, by shape, by whatever way you want. So I did that. We did that. Then no one say me. I said me. This is a teamwork, okay? So you can shape, you can do whatever way you can do, and this is the you can see. If you do it by shape, you can see the shapes, you can see the population, you can see this one is population, you can see quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. So you can pick whichever one. Then the next one. Who is it time up? Okay. Then I now come to the second block, which is concatenate. So everybody knows what concatenate does. So this is where we concat the data. You can see quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. And we use this syntax, ignore under index. Okay? This is telling you, you put quarter 1 data, you add quarter 2 data, you add quarter 3 data together. Instead of you to have 3 different data, you will have one big data for quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. So the reason why we put that code is the indexing. You know, before, when quarter 1 finished with 5, right? The index will still, the second quarter will still start from 0, 1. So we put that syntax to serialize that 3 data together. You get? From the 3 data now we'll have one serial number because it's matched in one place. That's why we use that code. Okay? So after we concatenate, we come to here where we clean our string places. So everybody knows what this command .str.strip. You don't know? Okay, let me remind you. But you should know by now at this time of the training. Okay, to clean your data, when you put that one, you know, for example, like what our trainer told us, you have Lagos and you have space Lagos. If you didn't clean it, at the end of the day, that Lagos, instead of to have one single Lagos data, the one Lagos will be divided into 2 Lagos. You get? So putting this command will make it that Lagos will be in one place. Whether you put space Lagos, then Lagos, it will merge it into one listing. That's why you are putting that command. So the person that says he doesn't know, you should know by now, okay? Right. So after that, we come here. Sorry. After that, this you can see, and we also check the missing values, and you can see our table. You can see no missing value. Okay. So the next one is to use my favorite part, which is to join the data, to merge the data. And as I have always told you, I usually use let join because I find it very convenient for me. So after this one, what it does, it will carry, you know, we match our quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 together, right? We have one single data. And don't forget, we also have population data. That population data is data by states. Okay. So I want to match my state population with my quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. That's why I'm using this code. That's why we are. Yes, I usually say we. Yes, that's what I do. Yes, I usually say we because it's a team of God. Don't let my they are. Yes, they are the best. It's nice working with you, by the way. Yeah. So after that, so I come to this. So if you this one is one of the best things that you can do with Python. If you say you are using calculator, imagine calculating all the millions or billions from this state using calculator. But one single command can just do this thing at once. You can see we group our data by states and population underscore 2025, and we ask it. We are interested in this column, export underscore value underscore million. Sum it and what? Sorry, you can see. And reset the index. You remember this reset index that I told you earlier, right? It will do everything for you. State by state. It will sum this column and it will reset the indexing for you. So we have this. Okay, we have this. So we also have state underscore total. We rename our columns, we run it, and we have this data. You can see here is Akwa Ibom is 1, and you can see the state, you can see the population underscore 2025. This is the population size, okay? And you can see the total underscore export value under million. This is the total value in million. So if you remember from the first time, I told you we are not interested of the state that has the total value. We want, please one house, please. We want this thing by capita, not just the total value. So we do that. We calculated per capita around the highest state. So we use this command. You can see it. You can see it. When we run, we have Cross River as the top. Yes. You remember, if it is in size, if it is by size, it was Akwa Ibom. But we are looking for per capita. So what we do per capita, what this does, the total export value with the size. That means if you have a state, for example, that has 10 billion and has 10 billion population size, and you have other one that has 5 billion and have 1 billion size, which one is better? The second one, right? So that's what it does. Okay, that's what the minister wants to know. So we do that, and we have a Cross River, and you can see the export per capita is still 0, which is Cross River. Okay, and our top state, undisputed state, Cross River is
yes,
number one. Yes. Yes. So the next one is we do our pivot table. The reason why we create our pivot table, inside the states, we want to know the exports, the quotas, and the value, and we sum it. Then at the end of the day, when we run it, we have it. You can see that this is the letter. This is the products, and this is quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. You can see the value here. So that's what the minister asked us to do. So we wrote this our recommendation. So based on our analysis, the NNPC should target trade missions to promote the top export category name sector in top state name, as it represents the highest amount, most consistent non-oil export driver for the state, generating million across quarter 1 to quarter 3. Then analytical limitation, while looking at data per capita correctly, we highlight agile, highly efficient economic hub like top state name, which is Cross River, and the minister should know that it may overshadow states with massive total export volumes like Lagos and Kano. But because we are doing it per capita, I told you earlier. So that process higher absolute industrial footprint despite a larger population, diluting their capital metrics. So they said we should did our result based on 1 or 2 sentences. Yeah. So we at least does like 3, 5, or 6, just to make sure that everybody has a correct picture of what we have done here. So if there's any question, let me start by. If not, I can go back to my list.
A round of applause from my leader, General Gaddafi. Yeah. He's very passionate. Even when we say allow a female to present, he still muzzled us came to present. Thank you very much. So let's take comments. Okay, Max, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Gaddafi. Very good job. So in presenting your data in the report, you have to go back to the last statement recommendation. If you are recommending, you have to be specific. Like the Cross River, which have the highest generating, what is the actual amount that was generated? It was there in the yeah, so you didn't put it there. It's very important you put it.
So it's not about that the team did not put it. Team did not put it. I don't know this attack. I'm the one that brought out this for you to see. I'm still attacking me. It's my team. I said the team did not put it.
reiterate some, because when he was presenting, he made use of that he used left because that's left joint, because he is used to using it and he likes using it. So I just want to say the reason why we are using left should not be because we like it. It should be because that is what is most appropriate for that use case.
You know, I said this thing earlier there. I said it online.
Gaddafi, don't speak. It is not what Gaddafi chose to. The team decided to use left. His question is about the left, whether right, whether or outer. Now, Gaddafi was saying that he loves using left. So I said, no, the team decided. Thank you. The team decided to use left, but the left has a function. That's what he's trying to explain. So it shouldn't be that you love using left. But that's why initially, who is talking behind you?
If we decided to use left because with left we can move forward.
No, that's not the conversation. There are people killing them. That is not the conversation. The conversation is that when our resource person was taking us on your movement, when you want to move from the left, it has a function. What do you want to measure? Yeah. So when you say you want to move from left to right, that means in writing your syntax, you are coming from somewhere to somewhere, right? That's why you say to move to left.
I understand that one. I just want to talk socially.
Okay. So it's fine. So let's take one more question and then allow other groups.
Yes, the last can you go there? When we started with one equals to, and when we saw, yes, when we saw, no, this one. When we saw 2, we flagged it. Now I'm saying 3. You see, now when you say print 3 equals to sign before delivering. Yeah, no, come on. Yes, can you explain why?
Yes, just like you see, this equals to.
There is equals to, then there is triple equals to. Okay? What we are interested here is to tell us here, top state name, your upper. That is which one is top state name? Yeah, the first one that I did. Yes. So here is we categorize it by quarter. So we want these products or these economic products. We want to know in each quarter what it generates. You can see for agro produce here, we have this value in quarter 1, then it changed in quarter 2, then in quarter 3. Then when you add sum of everything, you have the total for these products.
The 3
yes,
because
so
of
I
the
want
3
everything to match this thing. After putting quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, then I need total. So for each non-export product here, we have the value in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. Then we have the total value per quarter. That's what we did.
So you want to do the same tax in 2 products, quarter 1,
Quarter 2.
2 equals
2 equals sign. Where I see it, here I did 3. So that I have my presenter, our trainer, will explain.
He's the one that called himself.
Okay, so I'm asking the question to clarify. Mr. Gaddafi said, I taught us 3. That was part of what he said.
No, he taught us 1 and 2.
Okay, so what did he say 3 means? What did he say it means?
You say equals to, that's 1.
No, this 3, what does it mean?
It's still equals to.
It's still equals to.
It's still equals to.
So my question is, what will happen if we delete it?
If we delete it, if you delete this, all of them,
Yeah, no, 3. No. What will happen? No, what will happen?
it's not equivalent to.
Okay, let's try.
The top.
Oh, okay. Let me remove it. The 3, that means it's not equivalent to anyone.
The last one is the last.
The last one, okay. Top, wrong, let's see. It's still there. So me, I use the idea you gave me. I thought you said and I know this. Sorry, I learned from the best. Let me defend myself. You said when you put 1 or 2, because I think we have 3 matters. So let me put 3. Yes.
What does it mean if it's inside quotation?
Where?
No, if you create a quote.
A quotation, yes.
Something inside.
Everything included inside the brackets.
Is what?
No, you want to everything inside to use that command from the beginning. Because here is to export to the grids accompanied by pattern. And that's why we included everything. But the top 6 name, which is cross river, you want the whole category by pattern.
So what else is at least with my knowledge left is I don't know what 3 equals to sign.
No, I said, yeah, I understand, but it's still the same thing. Me, we use our knowledge, we thought, since I'm going to have. Sorry, me, I don't.
Is it the
It's not like there are no 3 equals. There is, and it clearly says that you should strictly, equalize and give that data streams everything you're talking about. Is there? You understand? Again, when you're on the defense seat, be saying yes sir. Yes sir. That will save you plenty problem because some people might be aggrieved to ask another question again, you will not expose us and you will be shouting. Don't talk again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not ask about the mic. We'll take the last one of the mic.
I still want to say.
So let's welcome Group 1. Oh, take your laptop. Sir, Group 1, get ready after you. This is the learning curve. So, what's your group number?
2.
Okay.
You have not
We'll soon break for tea break.
It's
So
very
don't worry.
important. Very important.
So when we finish taking all the presentations, we'll take general comments. I think the
check it. Duplicate it now.
it's not easy to always say we. In this part of the world, we're not used to we. We're always used to I. We as a team. So in Nigeria, we're not used to we. We're used to I did it. I. So we're learning from the developed countries where they always talking about we, the citizens of the United States of America. We, yes, I, Nigeria.
Thank you, President, for doing this. Using your money, you are thanking.
Let's take two more and let's sort out whether we just send the three out of that. Share some to take out.
We need to change the
No, but it's the same.
I'm looking for
You're back.
Oh, I've been looking for it.
Group 7. Yeah?
We are ready.
Yes, Group 7, since Group 1 is not ready. Group 7.
Thank you.
Okay, see him. She's not making any problem.
Group 7.
Yes.
Morning.
My name is Sarah Rebecca. I'm representing Group 7. I'm presenting on behalf of the following 3 persons. That is our main problem. So, project we are asked to work on is on infrastructure, road, and school. So the scenario is you are an analyst at the Ministry of Work. The ministry needs to prioritize and construct road construction in local LGAs where the road network is thin relative to the number of primary schools. Because of poor roads keep children from school and supply from arriving. Your team must compute a road per school ratio and find a local government most in need of the next phase of roads. So the mission is to calculate the ratio of road network kilometers to primary school for LGAs, rank them from worst to best, and recommend which LGA should receive the first 50 kilometer of roads. So three data sets were given to us, which is on school and the infrastructure 1 and 2. So our mission now is to look at for the worst, the 5 worst students. Then we recommend, out of the 5 worst students, we recommend a school that should receive the first 20 kilometer construction of the new road. So this is our work. So first of all, we import our pandas as PD. The normal process that we'll be following, import NOPE as NP. And from what Mr. Michael taught us yesterday, instead of running, anytime we want, there's no network, we go come out of our worksheet for a while. We have to import our pandas all over again. So with this command from google.colab, it helps us to retain this command for a long time. So after that, we go ahead to upload our data into the environment. Instead of dragging and pasting all the data frame from our download, we decided to use this particular command that when you put the data _file, it will help you to give you option to choose the data you are working on. This is our 3 data frame we are working on. Infrastructure 1, year 1, 2, then the school group. This is how we define our data. The first one is infrastructure 1, then PD read, and all this process. I believe all of us are familiar with this process, so there is no need for me to be explaining one after the other. But this is how we define all our data frame that we are working on. So the next step from the guideline given to us, these are the steps where we are to follow. The first step is to load and inspect each file. So coming to the work environment, we have already loaded it. So this is the command that we use to load all our data frame. After loading the first data, this is the preview that came out. So the local government, the road network per kilometer, and the year for the first, second, and third quarter. Then the next step is identifying the rows and columns in each of the data frame. We've already entered the command from here. Identify the rows and columns in the data frame. This is the command for both the rows and the columns. So when you go down, it shows that infrastructure 1, we have 24 rows and 3 columns. Infrastructure 2, we have 24 rows and 3 columns. And these columns of school, group of school, we have 24 rows and 2 columns. The difference between this one is this particular group of school is short by 1 because it's only numbers of schools and the local government that is in that one. If you look at it from here very well, it shows it here. Look at it. We only have a number of record. We have only the LGA and the number of school. But this particular one, for the infrastructure, you see that there's year in it. And that is why the infrastructure 1 and 2, the number of columns are 3, while the school is only 2. That is why we are having something like this. So the next thing is to check our data type. We enter our command here on how to check our data type. Look at the command. This one, this particular backward end, help you to break up long blocks of text to make output readable. If you look at it here now, you see that there is spacing between infrastructure 1, 2, and 3 to make the work readable and make it very clean instead of stocking them together at the same place. That is the essence of that forward and forward/end. So when you are doing a command and you use that, it will make your work very clear and readable. So our next step is to stack the 2 years into one. The 2 years into one table. This is where the concave comes in. And this ignore index. Ignore index, it is a parameter used to discard all rows label and automatically assign a fresh sequential index like 1, 2, 3 to n. Because we have 3 data frames, ordinarily, if we did not make use of this ignore index, you'll be having, if we did not make use of this index, you'll be having 1, 2, 3, 4, it will start again. So this one will make you to ignore the old label. Then it will now assign a new number sequentially. That is what will help you. With this concave, we were able to get this, instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, starting all over again, we're able to have a sequential number. A sequential serial number, sorry. So the next step that we worked on was to clean the text and check for gap. When Abigail was doing her presentation, she showed us the table where you can see that you have 2 labels, but maybe the first one is there is no space, and the second one of Lagos there is space. By the time you run analysis on such data, it will show that you are having 2 different labels, while it is 1. So for you to remove those unnecessary spaces, this is the command we use. Strip. It will help you to cover up spaces. And we did it on what? On the local government. So it helped our data. If there's any space in our data, it helps you to align it on a straight line. Then checking for missing value. In local government, sorry, it's my network. Checking for missing value in LGA, road network and year. So after putting this command, we noticed that in the three data frame that we worked on, there was no missing value in any of the local government. It was 0 or true. So this is the result. And this, as I explained earlier, this forward/n help us to maintain, to have this kind of clean data here. It make it spaces and make it very neat for us, for it to be more readable. So now we worked on, our next question was to the step 4. It said average road length per LGA. So this is the command we use. We use group by because we want to know the average. The average, we use group by because we are working on the average, and this is the average we are looking for. Then we put the mean and the reset index. So we were able to have, this is the average. This is the average, the result that came out from that command that we impute. So the next step that we worked on, they said add the number of schools to average by LGA. This one was here already. This particular two columns, the LGA and average road length, they were here already. So we need to add the number of schools from the other data frame that contain the school and the local government. And for us to do that, we need to merge. So this is the command we use because we really needed to keep this. Then we'll now export as merge the number of primary school from the group of school, which is this one. And we are doing it on local government because the local government is here. This is the one that comes in. And we retain this one because we use less. We retain this particular data that we have here already. Then we merge from this particular data we have here already. We maintain this one as our main data frame. That is why it's here. Then we'll now merge using left command to merge our school, numbers of school, and that is why these particular rows came up. So after doing that, our next thing was to calculate the road per school ratio. And this is the command that we use to have, and we now have this particular road per school ratio. So the step 7, Sarah can shortlist the worst LGA. We use ascending order to determine our worst LGA. By using the ascending order, all the LGA came up in ascending order. That is from the smallest to the highest because it's an ascending order. And out of the data frame, these 5, because this question, it said bottom 5 local governments. This is the 5 local governments that came out to be the worst local government in the data frame. By using the ascending order to determine the worst local government in the data frame, we're able to get these 5 local governments that they are the worst among the whole data in the data frame. Among the whole local government in the data frame. So when selecting, if we want to consider the worst data, the worst local government in the data frame, now is this number 1, this number 6, Pali is the worst. Is it Pali? Yes, Pali is the worst with worst local government. So in our recommendation, considering the mission, the objective of the analysis, they say that we should, the mission is, sorry.
Go down.
Down.
The mission is to calculate the ratio of road network kilometer to primary school for each local government, rank them from the worst to the best, and recommend which local government will receive the first 20 kilometer of the new road. So from this our analysis, you will notice that the Kwali is the worst local government that need, in terms of road, that need that intervention. So based on our analysis, we conclude that Kwale with the lowest road per school ratio of 0.587 is recommended to receive the first 50 kilometer of the new road, because the result reflects a critical infrastructure deficit related to education demand. Prioritizing Kwale will improve access to school, strengthen service delivery, and advance equity infrastructure development by targeting the area with the greatest connectivity gaps and highest potential social impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Comments? Any comments?
No comment.
No comments.
Perfect.
So group one, we're ready.
Simbi, if you mess up, Abigail will finish you.
Okay.
You say you went to eat before present.
Is there a flash drive?
That's the last one. That's the last one. This one. As group two presented. As two presented.
Okay, you can listen to the next one so far.
Is that the last one?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Simi.
So we are given tax on agriculture. Yes. So our tax was on agriculture and food security. So our mission was to find the crop whose yield varies the most across local governments and quarters, and then study how that crops behave across the approved zones over time, and then write the short policy recommendation. So the first step which we did was to import our libraries, that's the pandas and the donkey. Then our second step, which was to load and inspect each file, because we uploaded our files here, as you can see. We have group 1, quarter 1 for agriculture, down to quarter 3, and the look of CSV. So we had to load and inspect each file.
So the third step in our syntax was to stack the three quarters into one table, which we have our agric_data frame, then using the concat stack quarter one, quarter two, quarter three. And this was our result so far. And the next step which we did was to reset the row index so numbering could be continuous. So we use this code agric_df.reset_index to find if our numbering was continuous. The next step was to verify the total row count in each of this, and this was our result. Both zones. So we now went on to clean our text and strip the white space from text columns so that we could have a clean data. Which we did, and as you can see, this was our results after stripping the white space from the data frame. Then the next step was to count for any missing value per column, which we did, and after removing the white space, we found out that we don't have any missing value per column. And this is our results. We checked for missing values, our local government, our state, the agro zone, the crops, the yield chunks, and per quarter, and we found out there's no missing value in them. So we now proceed to check the data against the lookup and then left join with the local government area. And these are our results after the syntax. So after that, we had to confirm if there were unmatched rows or any blank after the join. So after confirming, we saw that we don't have any blank after the join. So we now proceeded to check if there's any nulls in the column again. And after the join, so you can see that in our agro zone X, there was no any null, and our agro zone Y2, there was no null. So we have to proceed now to measure how much each crop yield swing, because our mission was to find a crop whose yield varies the most across the local government. So we have to measure how much each crop yields, and we group them using the use of aggregates to get the minimum, the maximum, and the mean all at once. So we use this syntax. I know some of you will be asking what the lambda does. The lambda is an anonymous syntax which it can do a lot of things. It can filter, it can create. It's an anonymous function in Python. So we use that to get our minimum yield per crop, the maximum yield, the mean yield, and the range yield. This is our result. Rice was the lowest yield here, which was 0.43, and our maximum yield was cassava. So after that, we went ahead to study the most variable crop across the zones and time. And we went ahead to also filter it to one crop. And we used the pivot table. We filtered it according to the agro zones, the quarter, then the total. As you can see in our results here, we have the different agro zones, which from Guinea savanna, the mangrove, the rainforest, the Sahel savanna, the Sudan savanna. And After that, we filtered it to one crop, which was the rice. We filtered it to use rice. And we now found out that rice turned out to be, in rainforest, rice turned out to be the lowest. Yes, rice turned out to be, the most variable crop with a range of 8.53. And then we also saw that the lowest range, according to the agro zone, is the rainforest. So part of the advice we have for the ministry was to focus on extension services and also improve seeds in that region of the rainforest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bubon. Let's give another big round of applause. There's something I see happening around Sini, Abigail, and Michael. Yes, everybody is trying to try their stunts. So Michael comes out with his own stunts. Abigail comes out with her own stunts. And here is Sini telling us Lamba is
another one.
So it's fine, and it's good to have them share most of this code for us. So let's take comments on this and then take the last group.
Thank you, Simi, for that short, concise, and precise presentation. What is that group one? Well, kudos to you. And Roland already touched on what I wanted to say. I was going to ask our facilitator if he was intentionally keeping some of these functions for later classes, or he intentionally kept them to try how fast or how we can develop ourselves based on what he has taught us. Because some groups are coming up with new functions which you didn't mention to us. Was that a tactic for you to try us to see how we can brainstorm or study do further research on our own? Or it was going to be a class for later treatment? Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to ask. And also, since they're introducing those functions, I would like you to comment on them so that we be so sure of what we're doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, that was a very precise and I love it, not too much. But concerning what my brother said, I was like kind of thinking of that direction, but like kind of throwing it out as in my thought out to everybody. That in this generation we have AI, and we have all this information available for us like this. So you think your hand, you get it. So just thinking it out, you can just tell AI to generate all the syntax of Python and explain their meaning and turn them into a book for you to study. And it will just give you every single thing that you need to study. So AI has made things, and that's what I've done. It's there even more than what our facilitators give us to explain it to you, clear, direct, and even simpler than what he has to say, because there are so many, very many. Thank you.
All right. So my comments will be that this is a training, yeah. So at the end of this training, we are all expected to appraise or to say we want further training on what we have learned. Again, just reiterate again that we have 2 or 3 categories of persons in this training, and it was very deliberate by Mr. Shajara. We have people who already know how to use Python. They're also coming here to also enhance their skills, to better their skills. We have another set of persons that are still coming up. And then we have the last set of persons that are like me, that know nothing. nothing about
Now you.
nothing about Python. So they are just trying their hands for the very first time on this application. So overall, it will not be nice to see them running to go and use AI and start trying something. You understand? They should take the basics first. It's step by step. A child is born. When that child is born, the child begins to learn how to crawl. From crawling, they move to another stage. So you cannot just stand up and begin to run. It's not done that way. Even those that are experts in programming, they still have to crack their brains. You see, sometimes Shamsuddin goes off for 2 weeks, Saeed goes off for 1 month. They are somewhere cracking their brains. So if it's just about AI, you may not even get it.
Yeah.
So again, just to advise participants that it's one step at a time, and I know I'm going to be speaking the mind of the resource person. You have to start it from the basis. Yes, from that basis, just to ensure that even if you're an expert, let's start from that point so that you don't begin to write programming language that some persons will start saying what's happening here and they will not be interested. But everybody's interested at this point because of how he started it, and we're all enjoying it. So I think that's a good way to go. So having said that, there's an information that needs to be passed. If you know you have made your presentation, please ensure that you send it to the secretariat. Again, at the end of this training, there's going to be a general report that will be sent to UNFPA, just to also show that this is what happened, that we did not waste their money, that people were really, working it hard. So in various groups, various recaps that happened, all of this will be put together as one report for not just the Bureau management, but also for the UNFPA, who are the sponsors of this training, to also see, and if possible, recommend for further trainings in this area. So please do well to send your group work to the secretariat so that they can also put all of that in one folder. So we're happy to get the last group. The last group did not come with a functional laptop. So those that have not sent their recap, please try as much as possible. That was just on the lighter note. They came with a functional laptop, but their laptop is not compatible. So we need to get a laptop that is compatible.
Also, a shift, let my boss sit down.
So if it's possible, you can also send your code to those that their laptop. So, Madam Esho, I think we can open it from your laptop and then share it from here. And please. We need to start with the second half of this training. So we need to get all the groups, make their presentation, and then move on to visualization.
So who can supply me his or her email so that I can just see email, Gmail.
So the whole team doesn't have
Where's the laptop? Where's the laptop? Okay, now please let me have your email.
Okay, you don't have it.
So better they praise the laptop. It's small but mighty.
You know, that's the macro. And when you have not been using macro before, it sounds like sort it.
You throw comment out. Don't do it like
You want to use my cell?
I don't even watch How you doing?
I'll send it.
Then they will take that extension. Take the extension.
Well, I've been holding my process. Yeah, who dey start? Who your please? Who dey start?
All right, let's settle down. Let's settle down and have the last group make their presentation.
There's no I think the other system is correct. So open the other system now. Put the same name.
Thank you.
So funny.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Please can we have one house?
Group 2, and on health, maternal mortality. This is the name of the people in the group. And we wasted so much time, so I'll just go straight to the point. We import our Python and NumPy. Then we follow some other approaches by using Google.colab to import our files. Then step 1, it says we should load and inspect all facilities. So we load the H1, which is L1, L2, and then our facility lookup. The next step is to now test the shape and the info, which is test the rows and columns. We did that and also print. That's for H1, this is the inspection, the LGD, the maternal mortality rate.
See, when you were absent, we gave you support and everyone was quiet. What's the noise all about?
Then this is the shape, and the last one is the data frame, which shows 132 non-null objects, floats 64, and then objects. That are data types. We did for H2, because I did it step by step. I did for H1 and H2 separately. So I run for H2, we did for shape, head, and data info, which is that, and data sets. Then this is for our facility lookup. I did the same thing, I don't want to repeat myself. Then for step 2, say we should start with 2 apps, which is for H1 and H2. We want into one thing. So I did that because here we are not to link it up with the facility lookup. So I did for H1 and H2. Then now print, this is it. I print for the first 5 rows and the last 5 rows. Then our shape is 254 rows and 3 columns. Then we now clean he said we should clean the text and check for gaps. So I did that, and we did that. Sorry. So we check for the missing values for each column. So this is it. Recent values in else. LGE is 0, mortality rate is 0, half is 0. Actually, before this, I did also what's it called? I checked for duplicates. It's also 0, so I removed it because it's still the same thing with this missing value. So our unique LGE is 12, 11, 10, 9, and 8. So our data type is integer 64. Then we now add the facility information, which is our lookup. We now merge it, we merge the two tables with our lookup. I print it. This is the first 5 rows. I did it for first and last row. I did it for first 5 rows. So this is it. We have our animal show, LGA, mortality rate, half, facility type, and the beds. It's 150. Now the last, okay, step 5 now saying you should compare the mortality rate by facility type. So I compare it for each facility and now average it. Facility type, we have health post, we have clinic, and we have hospital. Mortality rate is 236.40, 171.42, then 0.68. For the 2 facilities we have, then the step 6 is said we should compare the mortality by LGE. So here, average mortality rate by LGE and sorted by highest to lowest. I did that, and I also did for lowest to highest, which is the tail and the head. So we have Kuje, Kaduna, North, Warri South, Sokoto North, Jere, Etiosa, Tafa Balewa. This is their number, the mortality rate. I think this so that we'll be able to know the highest mortality rate and the lowest mortality rate. Then step 7 says we should build a grid and find the priority LGEs. If you look at our steps, we can easily locate the one that has the highest and then the one that has the lowest. So here I now bring it out. So we now have municipal, Abuja municipal, we have Enugu North and Bauchi. So when I choose the highest, a top priority LGE, which is Kuje, Kaduna North, and Warri South, and this is their figure. If you look at them, step 6, you will see the figure there too. So here I now have to download the code. I download the Excel sheets. Into the Excel sheets. So then step 8 says we should write our recommendation to the National Primary Health Care Agency. So this is it, and this is our finding. It says analysis of full year mortality record across 5 LGAs confirms a strong relationship between facility type and maternal outcomes. LGAs served only by health post average a mortality rate of 236.40, nearly 3 times the 87.
Even on Saturday. She said she'll come even on Saturday.
So, as I was saying, nearly 3 times the 87.68 recorded in hospital cell of LGs, with currently sitting at 171.43. Applying a threshold of 75 percentile, the 3 highest modality LGs currently without a hospital are Wudil, Kaduna North, and Warri South. They all have health posts and Kaduna only have 5 beds, others don't even have a bed at all. So the agency is advised to prioritize hospital construction in these 3 LGs immediately, which is the most urgent case, with a mortality rate of 241% above hospital LGA average. Upgrading these 3 facilities is projected to produce the greatest LGA reduction in maternal deaths in the shortest possible time.
Comment, please. Comment. Yes, please. All right.
Thank you very much, Ade and his crew for the wonderful work done. But I'm not too clear about your conclusion, your recommendations. There is one aspect, let's go to your recommendations so that you can explain to us. You are going deeper. So that we're applying a threshold of 230.65, that is 75th.
Threshold is 6.
75th percentile of all LGA averages. The 3 highest mortality rates currently without a hospital are. Can you explain what you really mean by that? I don't know your rating. That's graded. That's 75th percentile. How did you come by that?
Yes. Is it whether it is part of the objective?
I believe we all know, we all statisticians, we know quartiles, percentiles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm using something, so just like you say, you are using 75% rate to get your highest mortality rate.
Oh, is that a standard?
Yes, now, because the question says we should get the priority LGAs. So you can, for me to use it, for me to drop some at least just like you saying you are testing your confidence interval, that is 95% confidence interval. This is the 5% percentile is like my confidence just to get the highest priority LGAs that need hospital, because they all have health posts that you can see. They all have health posts and not hospitals. And the question, and the thing is, which LGAs need all 10 hospitals?
Is health post not a hospital?
No.
What is it called?
The clinic PHC is not hospital.
It is PHC. It's just a category of hospital.
Let me tell you, you just give it a name. When you're talking about hospital, they have some standard.
Calm down. Calm down.
No, I'm just trying to explain.
We're not here to argue. We agree. Wait. I'm just making a general comment. We are all analysts, and if you analyze an information and somebody sees something around that information, just to make a general comment and we move on. Here in the bureau, we know the way we analyze our information. This is not a school project. Yeah. So let's get all of this. And that's why I don't want you to continue, because a whole lot will start coming out and we'll argue without even getting to that conclusion. You have done a fantastic work.
Very fantastic.
Amazing. You have done a fantastic work. It's just that Madam was just very curious about this.
Yeah.
we know that over time, even those of us who work with development partners, yeah, you don't make your analysis ambiguous.
Exactly.
Because you know that at the end of the day, when you come for validation, you have different categories of persons seated in that room trying to look at these data points. And so this is well understood by professionals like you.
Yeah, in the academic setting.
Exactly. Who understand that this is percentage and you're speaking to something, right? But again, just also ensure that, again, me as a lay person coming from the sociological point of view understands this properly. So, but it's fine. And as I said, it's for class purpose. You know that when we get to the higher level, the SG will say, let's break this thing down.
Yes.
Yeah, we all know. So again, this is just for class purpose.
Thank you.
For me, again, there's something I was looking around here because we're all analysts. And whether you work for energy, whether you work for justice, whether you work for NAPTI, whether you work for MPC, you must understand that you are taking a trade now. You are supposed to be looking at data from different points of view. You're supposed to be looking at data from intervention aspects, from programming aspects, from budgeting view. All these eyes is what you're looking at when you're doing analysis. So when you do analysis based on, I have produced the number, that number might not be useful to those who are doing budgeting. That number might not be useful to someone who wants to do intervention. So those things must make sense. This is where my interjection is coming in from. This is a statement saying that Kuje is the most urgent case. Now, I need to understand why. Is it because Kuje does not have hospital? Because if you look at these three prepositions now, these three, they both have health posts. This one has bed. All this one don't have bed. Is it based on the hospital or based on the facility? So we need to also understand that.
Based on mortality rates. If you look at, if you are following me in 6, and when I was in 7, I also referred back to it. I said, because that's why I did highest and lowest. See. Now it has average maternal mortality rate, the average and the highest and the lowest. If you look at the figure, you see Kaduna and Warri. It is based on this that I came up with my recommendation. We came up
with our recommendation.
Sorry.
You are correct. Even in the beginning of your recommendation, you mentioned it. So just to make your recommendation simple.
Note that we have 3 health facility type. We have the hospital, we have the clinic, and we have health post. And health posts have the highest rate of mortality. So their maternal mortality rate is very high in that time. So when you are looking at it, that means it depends on the resources. So the type of hospital, somebody was saying that it's health post and clinic, not hospital. You don't have the facilities that hospital have, and they don't have the human resources. So definitely it will affect such thing. So we need more hospital in those other local government that are depending more on health posts, because with that health post they are having high rates of maternal mortality.
Thank you very much. I think we're making sense now. We're making sense. So,
thank you very much. I think it is not right to say health post is not an hospital. We have primary, secondary, and tertiary health facilities. So they are all hospitals. They are based primary, secondary, and tertiary. Yes. So let's stay at that. And they come into your category here. We are rating the Kuje Kaduna and Warri. Why are you having base space in Kuje and there is no such indicator or variable in the other two? So make everything uniform so that when you are drawing your conclusion, we know that yes, this is where you are going to.
So I think while we are all learning to become the 21st century analysts, we're also getting educated. Just like Madam Anne reiterated there, health posts is a hospital. We have, just like when you come to education, we have education level. We also saw it when we're doing analysis, where you have to subsume those that are in pre-primary, which we call the word ECCDE, right? Into primary, to be at that level of primary, that's level 1. And then we have those at secondary, we have those at what? Tertiary. That's the same way in the health sector. They have also categorized theirs as primary, secondary, and tertiary. So even in the health facility survey that was conducted recently, we were talking about, do we cover health posts? And they said some of those health posts have been what? Upgraded to what? Primary health care. Because you can't sit here, and that's why I say as statisticians, we don't assume. You understand? You must understand what is on the ground, what is happening there before you say they are not hospitals. Some of the health posts are offering similar services like the primary health care. So rather than say they are not hospital, what do? You upgrade them. So there are some primary health care, especially like the private entities, that the services they even carry out is more like secondary facilities. And that's when it comes to private hospitals, they said, try to find out what services are they offering. So when you find out the services they're offering, then you'll be able to categorize them where they belong. So this is just the general knowledge, so that when we also find ourselves somewhere, we don't go into a contentious argument. Health post is a hospital, depending on the services that they are offering. Thank you. So we'll make progress. We have the visualization. We have done one aspect already, which is analysis. Yeah. So we're going to another amazing. This is where I'm interested. What is what you are talking about? I'm not interested. This is where I'm not interested. I don't want to be an analyst. I don't want to break my head. I want to go into visualization. Yes. Because especially for those of us who are working around social and gender statistics, we have a whole lot to do with visualization. Yes, for those who are also working around, okay, Maxwell has been taken care of. He may not be needing visualization. Maybe if he wants to deal with the EA maps, the digital EA maps, maybe he may want to see what he can do with it. But I think the analysis that happened around the data cleaning and all of that will be very useful for the man coming from FSM. Very, very useful, because you now know how to use Python to run your sample size, to see which are the missing data, are they randomized and all of that. It makes sense to you. Again, we see some of our colleagues who are coming from ICT, fantastic. They're almost doing analysis for us now, but those of us that want to go into analysis is also fine. Looking at colleagues coming from NAPTI, again, it benefits you so well, because even while you're doing analysis, you're also doing visualization just to ensure that what you're doing makes sense and meets with modern days analysis. So you're not just staying in the stone age, you're working with the modern tools and also standardizing what you're doing. And so for every other person, just a general comment, just to keep us abreast and get the resource person to come on board at this time. So let's put our hands together for team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, team 5, team 6, and team 7 for doing a great job. This is a round of applause for them. Thank you very much, everyone.
Take breakfast.
So the secretariat is saying that she has gotten the work of only 3 groups. So we still have 4 more groups to send their work to the secretariat. Please, before we leave here today, we need to get that report. Thank you very much. So let me bring up our resource person to give his general comments, then go into the next presentation.
Before I give the general comments, I would say what is on everybody's mind. It's gonna be happening.
Yeah, very correct.
It's a party pack. It's a party pack. Not today is Saturday, today is half day. We're not going to stay here while it's
When it's already 2 o'clock. It's already 2 o'clock. So what have they again when it's 2 o'clock?
We agreed yesterday that we were supposed to end today's training by what time? 1. But because so many of us came late, so we'll be ending at 2. So the food vendors also came late, and so instead of us taking tea break, stealing into that time and then come back again, we'll see ourselves finishing this program today by 4. And again, this program was approved by the SG, and the diesel we're running on diesel at the moment. So we need to work with time. So I've decided that the tea break and the lunch will be put together, it's being packed together. So as soon as you're going, you just do your take home at the same time. I think that makes sense. Yeah, so that we can also allow him to take his today's.
So why I'm asking this, if I can't shout, you understand?
Thank you. But we cannot even assimilate anymore. I cannot assimilate. My brain is not eating anything. I'm telling you. My brain is not. This one is not part of the house.
It's been agreed that we'll do a walking team.
Yes.
So I'll be fighting for you.
Yes.
You also fighting for yourself.
The Russian for the house. My husband not allow me for night.
Hello, I'm happy to announce to everyone that we can have a walking tea break.
Yeah.
So that we can hear the facilitator's voice.
Very well.
So just also announce that those that are already used to sugar rush, you may not find sugar there. So for today, just do what they call sugar fasting. The sugar is not here yet, so I think they've gone for it. So as soon as they have it, you can still, well, you can do without sugar. We're all about. Yes.
Even if your tummy is full, you will see it.
I'm eating. Hello, Daddy. Oh,
I have to redo everything again. The WhatsApp that is.
Let me just break you for that one.
If you need the the former one, you bring it. The one that was approved.
That was there's no need.
I've already decided. Pastor, you were done quiet. I know you're your friend.
You don't collect.
Unless you look at it, you know all this.
Get interest.
What about cigar? Laben,
We don't understand. Visualize it.
Nobody. It seems you are fasting.
Why did you say so? Why did you say so? Okay, we are not your man.
I don't know.
Okay, because I never see the other.
No. Very okay. Very okay. Very okay.
Yeah, keep this going.
Okay. Okay. Where you gonna? I want one.
That's all we want everybody.
Me want the number of your me talk some of your number. Me say no whether or the number. This is number. No, I will get it.
Oh, that's it.
I know.
That's it. 5,000. Amara. Amazon, big. 5K.
It's like they divide.
It's 2.9. Yeah, for this place it's 2.5.
Where?
Yes.
Yes, I will call you better. If they try swallow, you can swallow it cheap. Amala Center. Even Yakulu.
That's what I'm saying. I go there. It's too fast now. It's cheaper than the one in this.
It's very cheap. 2.5. Okay. By that, sorry.
On your food.
Yes.
Very good.
Don't be there, say. It's Mubuko.
You know they're from Lagos.
Everybody. Wait to it. Say Mubuko. Come here. That's for everybody. Anything, anybody. Daddy. Daddy, proud.
They don't let people know. If not, it's
For rush.
Proud that day. They did drop that car 50 N. You understand? So 30 anything anybody want to add? Is it more popular?
But to me, it's not only shady for his father.
It's not what?
It's not shady for his father.
Shady as that.
No. It's wise from.
When
You
you know
understand
that,
that's not
then you're lucky day.
It's wise from.
Anyway.
Notice that all of the things that my father is trying to show. What do you want to come and face with that? You see, it's not trying. So you don't have to shit for your father. You have to shit for him. That's not shit. Yes.
Get the sympathy from.
Get sympathy.
Yeah.
Get the sympathy. What if they come every time they pray?
When we don't say nothing.
Yes, man.
It's supposed to be buying sympathy.
Yes.
They can't be. They don't want to do this. Don't be try to start the airport. Keep it on the star. People put it set up. That's every song. Yes.
Don't be always say maybe the best ever.
Like I always tell a story.
You know, we like praise singers a lot. And we put our command Oh boy, they're not even pity cups.
What the beg? The mother go beg Tinubu no dem allow the boy to out of it.
No, yeah, I know it's protesting.
That one
I want you to settle around.
People contest now. Go na appointment which one be?
House of Regular appointment.
You don't understand what I mean.
Automatic. No, the ticket is automatic.
That's the appointment.
They force everybody to even the existing.
They don't use
Who is
that.
Who is that?
They don't use
Who is that?
Television. What is that?
As what?
I'm writing, I'm writing.
As for why? Why would they ask everybody to step down? What did they voted him out? They voted him out. I don't say that. My God still exists. God still exists though.
And the result is already chilling.
Na date be the way for.
I want to take my own picture. No, not around me. Thank you.
What?
My own house. Even though they're not. So I'm calling this. On Monday, what did you do? So I have to be supplements.
They dey wait for that.
Which group are you? Five.
Yes. You know that.
Today, no, it's me, Chidinma, and Eno. Yes. Me, Chidinma, and Eno.
Did they take the recap? I was really very
Okay. First of all, can we give ourselves a round of applause? One of the parts I enjoyed the most was seeing the interrogation process. Because you can only interrogate what you understand and you're paying attention to. So when I saw the questions that was coming out, I was smiling because it meant people cannot just come, stand up here and say anything. They are going to be fact-checked. And it means for you to come and stand up here, you also have to do your due diligence to understand what they're saying. So well done, everyone. Thank you. So we're officially moving into the second part of this this workshop, which is the visualization. And just like the first part, where we had to first of all understand the logic of analysis and analytical thinking, while also, before we jump right into trying to show you which library does this, which syntax does this, which type of chat can you do with this particular library or function, you have to first of all understand how to think visually. So what that means is, what are the expectations from visualization? Like if you're visualizing data, what are the things that the person you're showing it to expects, whether consciously or unconsciously? So as part of these things, or as part of this part, we're going to look at what the golden rules for chat design should be. We're going to do a quiz where everyone would have a piece of paper and pen, and you're going to answer a couple of questions. That will be done today. Today we're not doing any coding, focus on the theoretical aspects. And we will see the answers to those quiz, and we will grade ourselves to know how well we answered the questions. We'll touch on what a bad chart could look like, and from then on, we're now going to try to get real data and visualize it using our Colab environment. So essentially, a good chat is a chat where I can understand your story within 3 seconds. Which is the problem with the table. For most of us, even those of us that were presenting, sometimes even the tables that we had were getting us confused. Not to talk about the people you're presenting to. So that is actually where visualization comes in. A table is visual, but to pass across the message faster, that is where the choice of charts, the way you organize it, and all that comes into play. So if someone needs 15 seconds to understand what your visual is trying to communicate, it means fundamentally you have not done a very good job at visualization. In 3 seconds, who can tell me the highest state here? 1. So for starters, I can say only maybe 3 people answered under 3 seconds. And out of those 3, I had 2 states, Kano and Lagos. Yes. Right? Yes. We're not interested in who said what. Now, in the next one, in 3 seconds, which has the highest? Can you see what I'm referring to? Aside the color, intuitively, you know that if you are to ask which is the highest, your eye is not going towards anyone with a shorter bar. Your eye is going to which one has the longest bar. And from there, you're tracing it to know what is the text attached to it. Compared to a table, where even if your eye spotted what was the highest, because you want to confirm, you are now individually going through all the other ones to make sure that that one that you felt was right was actually right. So do you see the importance of visual, good visual being represented properly, and how it passes information in a simpler and faster manner? Yeah. That's the core importance of thinking visually. That's why we're going through the theoretical process first. So essentially, you don't just start by saying, I want to plot a chart. You start with the question, and the question is your chart. If the question is a question that speaks to comparison, for instance, which state is the highest, which was what we saw previously, is a comparison. The chance is that what you need, what the recommended chart for that would be a bar chart. If it's a subject of trend over time, Whether the time is quarterly, monthly, daily, it doesn't matter. The line chart is your recommended chart. If it's about a relationship, how does this sample size affect this? A relationship between two different entities. The scatter plot is your best, where a line probably might be in between to show things like the slope and all that. If it's a distribution, and I'm going to give a key distinction. A distribution, most people might confuse the histogram with a bar chart. I will show you a picture that simplifies it. Essentially, a bar chart is when you have two or more categories. For instance, which state is the highest? Lagos is a category on its own. Enugu is a category on its own. Imo is a category on its own. And the states, but they are different categories of the same entity called states. While a histogram could be, we give a test, and in the test, different people score different scores. And we're now trying to understand what is the distribution of the scores. Who scored from 30 to 40? How many people scored from 40 to 50? How many people scored from 50 to 60? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's within the same entity. So that's where a histogram is more relevant. Now, when you're looking at a fraction, which is a part of a whole, there are two charts that are recommended here. It's either a stacked bar chart or a pie chart. Thank you. Now, this one is also tricky because for most people, their default is the pie chart. But they go on to now abuse the pie chart. Because as much as the pie chart is useful, there comes a point where the pie chart now becomes the reason for the confusion. And I'll show you what I mean in the coming slide. So, one of the rules too for visualization is, if it's a bar chart, for instance, your axis should always start from 0. Some people might say, there's no need now, let's, for the purpose of making the chart look bigger, why don't we start the axis from somewhere in between and all that? But that's wrong. The best practice is it should always start from 0, irrespective of how high or how low the bar is. Now, I was discussing about pie charts. If I ask us to tell me which fraction here speaks to oil, will you be able to spot it?
Oh, yeah. It's the deep blue. It's the deep blue. The deep blue.
Which one?
The deep blue.
Navy blue.
No. Yes.
What if I tell you that this is agri? So are you already seeing the problem?
Color blind.
You are seeing the problem already?
Yes.
The fact that this is already a case for confusion already addresses the point I'm trying to make. In as much as we're trying to calculate parts of a whole, the recommendation is, if you are to use a pie chart, it should be for 2 to 4 categories. So, 2 to 4 categories. Because anything more than that, by the time you start going from 5 and above, this confusion that we're referring to, you start to encounter it. Because first of all, you start to even struggle for contrasting colors, which is part of what led to this confusion now. This color, they look alike. This color, they look alike. So, in your own head, based on the fact that you're the one that did it, you know how to distinguish it because you saw the table before you did it. So even before you came here, you already knew that, let's say, textiles was more than other. But for someone who never saw that thing and they are to get their information just from this, you're creating more confusion than solution for them. Now, in this case, see how the same thing looks with a horizontal bar chart. Now, it's simple, same color, but visualization is not all about beauty. It's about how effective are you passing your message. So this might look fine in your report when they print it, based on the colors it has. But this tells the story better for anyone who sees the report, because most times, not everybody has the patience to sit down and read a 75-page report. They are just skimming through. And what gives them the overview understanding of what they need to do is how well you're able to visualize key information in that report. Now, color is a tool. It is not a form of decoration. This is a typical example. If this was the choice of charts that I chose to use, like I said, it will look fine when they print it out. It will look like a very colorful, fine magazine document. But the eye will not be able to focus on one place. You're supposed to use color as a tool in your messaging. In this case now, you see that the messaging is quite intentional. I want you to understand that Lagos is the highest. So I intentionally made Lagos of a different color while the rest are here. So when you see it, even before you fully read it, your subconscious reasoning has already guided your eye to this. And that's the first message you're taking from the picture. In this case, I want you to understand that there are two different categories, high and maybe low. And these people fall under a lower category, and these ones fall under a higher category. I've already passed across that information without writing text, because sometimes we feel the main message is in the description text we're writing. The main message is here. The description text is just for shalaye reasons. So now, we're going to play a game. This is where we'll bring out our pen, our paper. I'm going to open a different presentation slide. And when I open it, for each question, you just write on your paper, number 1. You see the question, and you write the correct chart that you feel should go there based on the question. Once we're all done, I'll move to the next question. And by the time we're done, we're going to mark and grade ourselves based on the answers that I will show. So question 1. Remember, I told you the chart always starts from the question you're trying to answer.
Yes.
The question is, which 5 states had the highest youth unemployment rates in 2025? If that was the question you were trying to answer with your visualization, which chart would you put there as the chart type that you use? Write it, let me know when you're done so that I can move to question 2. Eh? Oh, you want me to display answer too? Is everybody done?
Yes.
There's no need to copy, don't worry, you know the answer. Question 2. How has the national CPI changed each month since January 2023? If this was the question you were meant to answer, which chart type will you use? put your answer down.
Next.
Next.
Can I move?
Yes. Shake the bed.
Question 3. Is there a relationship between a state sample size
Next.
and its reported unemployment rate? I've not even finished reading the question.
Next.
This is very special.
No. Someone was saying next one.
Yes.
Next.
Let's be patient with some people that. Can I move?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Oh, write something. Better you do it. What share of total non-oil exports comes from agriculture versus other categories? What share of total non-oil exports come from agriculture versus other categories?
Honest answer. Next, based on your percentage.
Can I move?
Yes.
Number 5. How are LGA vaccination coverage rates spread and are most high, low, or mixed?
Please read it.
Yes.
How are LGA vaccination coverage rates spread?
Next.
Most of these things, if you look at the questions carefully, you realize they speak to some of your projects.
Yes.
So I can move.
Yes. Now me the same and wait again today.
Number 6, compare maternal mortality rates across the 3 facility types.
Next.
Wait.
Maxwell.
At this stage, I'm wondering, are you sure you don't have my expo documents?
Your first presentation, give us the direction. Next.
Number 6, how the food prices and overall prices.
Number 7.
Sorry, 7. How the food prices and overall prices move over the last 3 years. These are 2 different categories.
You say what?
Not 2 charts, but I said these are 2 categories: food prices and overall prices. Number 8, which 3 LGAs have the worst road per school ratio? First of all, I would like to see that everybody has written some.
Next.
I don't want to see empty spaces.
Number 9.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 9.
Take your time, process the question. Which 3 LGAs have the worst road per school ratio?
About to us is number 7.
That's number 8.
Now, which one are we at?
We are answering it now.
Yeah, look at 9, yeah.
Does a higher population density go with lower vaccination coverage? What chart will help you answer this? Does a higher population density go with lower vaccination coverage?
Next.
You see how all these things are tailored as questions?
Yes.
Aha. So not just they told me to write the report as with the chat. Ask yourself, what is the question you're answering? Number 10, how did rice yields change across the 3 quarters of the year?
Major changes.
Next.
That's all. That's all.
That's
That's all.
Yes.
Oh. Answer yourself. Answer yourself and feel your Me, I will not check. This is exactly what I
If there's any number you didn't get, tell me.
What's the mistake?
I know the number.
How will be back?
Is that the person number 10? Yeah, I just want everybody to confirm that. So, moment of truth. No, we're going to the answers. One house, please. One house, please. See, it's. Let me tell you something.
You guys should understand that it's fine to fail.
At this phase, it's fine to fail. You learn more by failing. It's like Mr. Raymond was saying. Roland, sorry. There's no. I've never seen one house, please. I've never seen any toddler learn to walk without falling.
Exactly.
And I'm waiting for who will show me the first toddler.
You will be very happy that you are falling.
Yes. And if you look at the toddler's attitude, for every time he falls, he's looking for how to stand up again. It's maybe only when he sees the pity in your face that cry comes. But if you don't look at it, he's looking for how to stand up and attempt that thing again. So I think there's a lot for us to learn based on attitude. Don't be in a hurry. Because you don't want to fail, you go to AI or you go to this stage. No. This is not your promotional exam. So it's not like if you fail, you're not going to be. So let's now look at the answers.
No, number 1.
So if you remember the question for number 1, did you write bar charts?
Yes.
Emphasis on sorted because you don't arrange your columns. The bars will just be flying up and down. If you change the answer, you're not helping yourself. No, don't worry. Don't worry. It's fine. At least now you know where you fail. So the idea is if you fail, you know where you have to work on. Because line chart shows trend over time. Number 3.
We got it.
Mr. Roland, did you get it? Okay.
You tell me.
That's the attitude. The question was around how many, with non-oil exports. Now, it did specify how many products are under non-oil exports. If, for instance, that country is exporting 15 non-oil exports, will I use a pie chart?
No.
So now you understand why I also added stats. Yes, you can also put pie charts. Yes.
You can put back.
Yes, if it's bar chart, it's
Yeah, put back
keywords.
chat.
Yes. So do we understand why this one is histogram?
No.
Next one is bar chart.
So compare number 6.
Mark yourself. Oh.
This one paying you.
Number 7. Yes. Number 8. If you remember the question, you know that the variable.
Which one is horizontal?
Yes, so bar chart is good. But I'm not saying when you know there are different types of bar charts. So,
But I can bar chart. Oh, Scotland.
No, bar chart.
Number 9. Are you sure you were not answering this?
Correct.
Stack. So you use stack when it's the same item. Let's say if I'm comparing people and I want to know how many percent of the people were male, how many were female. At the end of the day, it's the same human beings. You understand? So if for instance there are 30 human beings here, and I'm saying how many of the human beings were male, how many were female, then I can use the staff because it's the same category we're speaking to. But density versus coverage are two separate things. So you can't put it under one stack. You put something under a stack when you already know the 100%. Then you're now trying to find the fraction. So you are seeing that even in some questions, so what we're just saying is the recommended, but it doesn't mean that if it's a trend, you must only use line charts. There might be a case where if the data is small, you can still utilize a bar chart. So the idea of this exercise was to frame your thinking so that you know how to approach your analysis and know what charts to choose. It's not enough just to know the syntax of how to write it, but the selection process. Ask yourself, how does it fit into these rules that or these principles that we have discussed based on our understanding of why we're choosing it, so that you know whether under 3 seconds someone will be able to assimilate the value of your data. I believe that brings us to the end of today's activity. From tomorrow, we'll now enter into
Double lunch.
Thank you very much. Please, please, there are convention yet to go by 12. No African time, please. And please, before you clear your tables, please, because the class around the please today. Clear your tables. Please. See you all tomorrow. Please, any time around you, please.
I got 10 over 10.
You got 10 over 10. You have to use this why can you say that material? Can you say it in the group chat? The material, the presentation,
Mr. Oche, you promised.
Everybody else taking.
Mr. Oche, you promised sending the merging stuff left, right, and all that. It's not. It's good. Thank you.
I'll come in, let me pack for my.
So guys, we're done with the training. Thank you for staying. We'll have to pick a stop. So guys, hi, nice to have you here. So we're done with the training. Now we're doing a whole lot of training. So we just finished. The training is to weekend. We've been on since morning. Just finished around we're done. So how are you doing? Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. I just learned everything that how to do with Python, visualization, and all that stuff. So tomorrow we'll continue. I need you to follow me. See you. Please subscribe to my channel.